Hello everyone, I'm Christy-Lyn from christylynmusic.com and welcome to Harp Help, where every Thursday we grow together in our musical journey as harpists. Today we're going to be looking at a really fast way of tuning your harp, which is tuning by ear. Once you know how to tune by ear, for me this is actually much faster than using a tuner, and I think it's a useful skill for anybody to have. You can use it in a few different situations. One is tuning your whole harp by ear. I choose to do this out of choice, but you might also have to do it sometimes if your electronic tuner runs out of battery or if you leave it at home. It's nice not to be reliant on an electronic tuner. Another situation is when you're in the middle of a performance and you just want to quickly tune up a string that's gone a little out of tune. I think it's a lot quicker to just grab your tuning wrench and quickly adjust it by ear than to have to get out your electronic tuner as well. So I think for every harpist this is a useful skill, and as you practice it you'll get faster and faster, and maybe you'll get to the point where you choose to tune by ear every time. A little bit of background why I tune by ear. I was taught to play the harp first by an elderly Welsh lady, and she didn't even own an electronic tuner. She always tuned by ear. And so I actually felt a little bit ashamed when I first bought an electronic tuner, just so that I would be able to tune when there was a lot of background noise, because my tuner can also tune by vibration, which is really useful when there's noise and you can't exactly hear what you're tuning. But in the beginning, I completely tuned by ear. It was easy for me to learn to tune by ear because I had been singing in choirs for years, which really trains your ear, and also I learned to play the violin for years. But if this is something that's not natural for you, I'm going to give some tips at the end on what you can do to train your ears so that it's easier to tune your harp by ear. So this video should be helpful for any harpist, but I would say that you already need to know the mechanics of how to tune your harp. So I'm going to put links to a brilliant series of videos by Sylvia Woods, where she teaches you to tune your harp and gives a lot of helpful tips there. So I'll put that up in the cards and also in the links down below, and that will give you a thorough understanding of how to tune your harp. And after you've learned that, come back and learn how to tune your harp by ear. I think it's good to learn this early on so that you're really training your ear every time you tune your harp. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you a quick demo on how I tune my harp by ear and show you how quick and easy it is once you've got used to it. Alright, I think it's in tune. And then I'll just check some other arpeggios. Good enough. You might think that my tuning here was quite quick because many of my notes were already in tune, but I think that's a fair representation of what it's often like when I tune my harp. So after that tuning by ear, my harp may not be absolutely perfectly in tune, but it's good enough for almost any situation. And as you could see, it was really quick for me. It would take me a lot slower to tune with an electronic tuner, because when you tune with the tuner, you have to play each note, watch it register in the tuner, adjust it, and then stop the note before you can play the next note. And that's because it is still registering that note with all the vibrations on the harp when you're trying to tune the next note. So you have to wait a little bit between each string. But when I'm tuning by ear, I don't have to wait that much. I can just continue with the next note because your ear can pick out the right note that you're looking for. So I'm just going to make my harp a little bit out of tune now so I can show you exactly step by step how I would do this. I start in the middle register here because that's where it's easiest to hear clearly the intervals between the notes. I'm going to be tuning in E flat major because my lever harp is tuned in E flat major, and you want to be tuning with all your levers down. Oh, there's a piece of fluff. So I would suggest that if you're a pedal harpist or you're a lever harpist whose harp is tuned in C major, it would be a little bit different, but still watch my explanation and I'll explain afterwards how things would change a little bit for you in a different key. So what you'll want to do is start with your E flat in tune. Now, when I'm performing at a restaurant, I use my snark tuner to get the first note, to get this E flat in tune, and then I tune by ear for all the rest of the notes because it's a lot quicker for me. By the way, I recommend the snark tuner. I'll put a link down below. You just attach it to your harp either here or at the sound hole at the back, and it's so quick and easy, and you have both hands free for tuning. If your electronic tuner has lost its batteries or you've left it at home, it's not an issue. You can just start with your E flat wherever it is and tune relative from there. Alright, so when you're tuning by ear, you're tuning to intervals. So the first thing you'll do is play your E flat, and then you're going to play a G, which is a third up, a major third. So I can hear that's a little bit flat. So what I did there is I play the E flat first every time, and then I play the G straight afterwards, and while the G is still sounding, I'm tuning it up to the correct pitch. And it's important to do that while it's still sounding so that you can hear the interval between the two. And you always play the anchor note, this E flat, before you play the G, so that you know that you're tuning the G to the E. You're not expecting the E flat to change up to the G. So now we're going to tune the A flat, which is a fourth from the E flat. So you'll play your E flat first again, and then you'll play your A flat, and then you tune it while it's still sounding so that it has that perfect interval. There we go. Then we're going to do the fifth up to the B flat. Then we don't want to do sevenths because that's not a very obvious interval for me. Then we want to do the second note, which is the F, and I don't do that by a second. I prefer to go down from the A flat, so from the fourth note of the scale down to the second note. And then I use that second note to tune the seventh note, which in this case is the D. Sometimes I make a little chord just to make it easier for myself to hear. I think it's a little bit sharp still. And then I do the octave, so from the E flat up to the E flat. And then once I've done those, I just do a few chords to check because sometimes it's easier to hear with chords. So I'll do the flat is a little bit sharp. And then I'll do. Alright, so then I know all of those notes are in tune. And then I use those to tune in octaves all the way up to the top of the harp, and then in octaves all the way down to the bottom of the harp. I tune up first because it's easier to hear, and then I tune down after that. So I'm doing the same principle here, but just with an octave, from F to F. And then the G. I think the rest of it is still in tune from earlier. And then I start tuning down. So I use the top note as the reference, and the lower note I'm tuning up to meet the top note, to be a perfect octave. Okay, let's just make one of them slightly out of tune so that I can actually show you. That was tuning the G up a little bit. This one is also a bit flat, so I'll tune this F to meet this one. Alright, and then what I did at the very end, after I'd gone all the way down to the lowest note of the harp, I did some arpeggios to check that everything was in tune. And when I was doing those arpeggios, I'm listening to every note of the arpeggio to see, is it perfectly in tune with the other notes? So I did first an E flat major arpeggio. I think that E flat is a little bit sharp. And then I like to do the subdominant, which in this case is A flat. A little bit sharp. Alright, and then I do the dominant seventh, which is B flat seventh. Can you hear that that's a little bit flat? C minor, just so that I can get that lowest note as well. And that's the end of my tuning. Now, playing all these arpeggios at the end isn't something that I was taught to do. It's just something I've developed for myself, and I chose all those different arpeggios because I think it ends up playing every note of the scale, and it goes right down to the lowest string and also right up to the highest string. So it's a nice way for me to check afterwards that I haven't missed out and slightly mistuned one of the strings. Now I'm going to put all my levers up so that I'm in C major and briefly show you how this would change if you were tuning in C major on a pedal harp or a lever harp tuned in C. So if you're tuning in C, you would start with a C, tune the E perfectly to the C, then the F, then the G, then the A, then from the F down to the D, you tune the D, you do the B natural, and then you would tune the C in octaves, and then you'd go in octaves all the way up the harp and then all the way down the harp. I'm doing it very quickly now because I already explained it in E flat major, and all the principles are the same. You would just start with your C instead of starting with your E flat. So now you know exactly how to tune your harp by ear, but what happens if your ear isn't perfectly tuned and you don't have that note in your head to tune your harp to? If that's the case, one way to practice would be to use your electronic tuner, but only use it to check your tuning once you've tuned by ear. And I would do this for every note. So, for example, if I'm tuning my G from my E flat, turn my tuner on. Let's just get it slightly out of tune so I can check. So I would tune that by ear, and then I'll play the note on its own. And it's perfectly in tune, a perfect G. Then you'd do the same with the fourth. It's already in tune, I didn't put it out of tune. And then you'll check it against your tuner, playing it on its own. Perfectly in tune. But if it wasn't exactly in tune, so let's say, for example, you thought you tuned it and you thought it was in tune now, you checked it against your tuner, it's a bit flat, you then listen again, you think that's in tune, you'll check it against your tuner, still slightly flat. So you're going to be actually training your ear with every note that you're doing. And then it's in tune. This takes quite a lot of time, and you need to be dedicated to training your ear. And I would say maybe don't do it every time you tune your harp, because it may be quite frustrating to be so slow every time you're tuning. But I really think it's something worthwhile, and maybe every second or third time you tune your harp, you can use this technique where you try to tune by ear and then you check your tuning against the electronic tuner. And I think you'll be surprised at how your ear adjusts and adapts over time, and eventually you're able to tune by ear without any problems. So that's it for today's harp help. If you'd like to check out these snark tuners, the link is down below. And also remember to check out Sylvia Woods' 3 brilliant videos on how to tune your harp. I think if you're a harp teacher or you're just interested in learning more, it would be useful even if you already know how to tune your harp, because those videos are so thorough and brilliant. And don't forget to let me know what else you'd like to learn about here on Harp Help. I'll do my best to help you. If I'm not the expert in the particular topic, then I can always ask other people and find out for you. And I'll see you again next Thursday on Harp Help. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!